Hello, everybody. Welcome to PC's Playbook. This is, I guess, my playbook. This is my third episode of doing this. I've been vacant the last 2 weeks. I haven't done it the last 2 weeks because I've been out of town and busy. But I'm back, and I'm going to do a little bit of a different one this time. I'm not going to be doing game picks necessarily, not really much fantasy football advice, but more or less kind of playoff scenarios as we're getting towards that time of the NFL season. And especially talking about a lot with the Carolina Panthers, which is my team, which are in their first playoff race in maybe eight years. I mean, technically they were in a playoff race 3 years ago, but that was more or less like technically in a playoff race. They could have made it if a lot of things happened, but it did not happen. So yeah, let's get right into it. As I promised, here to talk some Panther playoff scenarios is my father.
Hello, son.
We are both big Panthers fans and have been very involved this year, with them in the playoff race.
Is this not bonkers?
It is very bonkers.
Yeah.
Especially considering how we've lost to some terrible teams.
Right. We could run down the season. What's been the worst loss for you?
Saints.
The Saints was bad. We were really feeling ourselves because if you go back, we went into Lambeau.
And then beat the Packers.
The Packers, and the very next week, everybody flying high. First game we've been favored to win the entire season.
Since Bryce really got here. Actually, last year against the Cowboys, he was favored and got cooked.
Yeah. So that was super disappointing. And since then, it's just been a little bit of a bumpity bump roller coaster
so
ride.
It's been a lot of, it was one of two things that happens. Mm-hmm. And it does not matter what team we play, but either we play well and we win or we don't play well and we lose. No matter what team we play, we have the matchup does not matter anymore. We have the favorites should not be involved at all. We have a switch that either we win or we lose.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if we're playing the Rams, we can beat them, or if we're playing the Saints and we can lose to them.
And usually if we lose, we know we're going to lose early.
Oh yeah, because early turnover.
And if we win, we don't know till the last second.
It's a lot of game-winning field goals.
Yeah. What has been, while we're talking about the Panthers, what's been the part about that team you've been most impressed with this year? Because obviously you're a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
You watch every game. You read every publication. You do spring training or whatever, involuntary workouts. You watch every pick in the draft to see how it affects them. You watch college football to see who might be a good Panther in the future.
I want James Rodriguez so bad.
Yeah.
I don't care if I get him day 3. I want him.
You know who I want? Bane. I want Desmond Bane. We're not going to get him.
Bane,
we're too good to get him this year. Anyway, so what's been the most impressive part about the Panthers for you this year?
Well, besides the random amazingness by Bryce Young, where he looks like the best quarterback in the NFL.
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally, and then randomly the next week looks like the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yep. Also,
the most impressive part I feel like has been probably J.C. Horn and the defense stepping up. Especially from last year having...
How bad were they last year?
The worst defense of all time. And now we have Derek Brown, who looks like he'd be a Pro Bowler. We have J.C. Horn looking like he'd be a Pro Bowler. Trayvon Merrick looks like a Pro Bowler. And they're all playing at And J.C. Horn looks like he's all-pro. He's technically in the DPOY race, but that's not really a race anymore. That's more or less just give it to Miles already.
Yeah. You have to throw in some of the younger guys too that I think they weren't expecting them to contribute this much early. Nick Scorton. I'll throw in Lathan Ransom because he came in for Merrick, and then he's a second year, but he was supposed to be a long development project. Trevin Wallace.
Oh yeah. So Trevin Wallace, he's been hurt a lot this year, but has been huge with injuries going around and all that stuff, and especially last game against the Rams being a big part in actually. Although we kind of did not do great on defense, besides the few plays where we had fumbles and stuff, he was probably our best at stopping Kyren Williams, because it seemed like every single play was 5 or 6 yards. But he was probably the person who would stop him after the 5 or 6 yard mark.
Yeah. What is the part you feel most uneasy about with the Panthers right now? I mean, there's obviously some inconsistency. What's we've all got deep, dark fears before the game starts. What's your deepest, darkest fear when kickoff happens?
You know exactly what it is.
I do. I just want to hear you say it.
I'm worried that every single game, we're going to start the game and Bryce Young is going to throw a pick 6 and then just be Bryce Young.
And why are you worried about that?
Because he does it half the time.
He does it half the time.
But when he doesn't do it, he's amazing.
Yes.
But he is someone that, when you look at him in his best games, he looks like we need to pay him $250 million.
Yeah.
And then you look at him in our worst games, and he looks like we need to move on. And so, especially with that fifth-year option pending this year, it's a bit.
Listen, I was one of those people who, like, I'm going to be honest. So I'll take you back to a game, Miami versus Carolina. Not many people were watching this game. Me and PC were watching this game. He threw two. He had one fumble where he just got scared and like just went and like fell down and dropped the ball. And then I think he threw a pick or he was ineffective and we went down.
He threw a pick. Yeah.
We went down by 17. And I texted. We were away at that point.
I was at like a meeting.
Yeah, I texted you. I'm like, it's time for a change. And then in the second half, he was incredible. That was in one game. He was two different guys. And so I am with you, dude. I don't know what to do with him, but let me ask you this. What are the other options out there? Like, is there a quarterback in college football who you'd be psyched about taking over your program? And is there someone who's going to be a free agent that makes sense? There's the landscape is terrible right now.
I don't want to move on from Bryce Young. That's
no matter what.
That's my main thing.
But even if you wanted to,
if I wanted to, I guess we'd get Ty Simpson, like the 15th pick.
Ugh.
Or Kyler from shorter now.
Yeah.
Okay,
tell me why you're not quitting Bryce Young.
Because he's the first overall pick. I mean, we put so much trust in him, and he has so much potential. We've seen the potential.
Yeah, I mean, Jamarcus Russell was a first-round pick.
But he didn't show that potential. Did Jamarcus Russell do what Bryce Young has been doing this year?
No.
Could Jamarcus Russell have thrown for 450 yards against the first-ranked pass defense?
He never had a game like that.
Exactly. Right. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How long is your leash for Bryce Young? Like, how many more games of this flippy-floppy can you handle before you're saying, go get Kyler Murray?
So if he keeps flippy-floppying and the Panthers finish 9-8, I think you have to keep him.
Yeah.
Because that's development.
It's more flippy than floppy.
Yeah, but it's close. I just, to me, if Arch Manning was coming out and he was good, he was as good as we expected, and Carolina had the number one pick, it's a different answer. We're not going to have the number one pick. And there's all the guys that we thought were going to be like ballers, like Cade Klubnik and Arch, don't look as good as we thought. And so just looking at the options, I don't see the need for it. There's like a little bit of me that's like, is Dave Canales, coach for the Panthers, is Dave Canales actually onto something? And is he bringing him around and along at the perfect pace that we're actually going to see this like maturation process continue? So I want to see it.
So
the answer is my leash is
pretty long.
Yeah, I think I want to see him next year.
So Dave Canales hired because he was known for being this quarterback whisperer.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately benches Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And then we get him back and they're like, oh, so he is a quarterback whisperer because Bryce Young starts balling. He's been, winning a record this year for the first time in his entire career. And, we're starting to see this, quarterback stuff. But then you also see those games where he's like, Bryce is bad. And you're wondering if it's Dave's play calling, not putting him in a good position. And so my question is, I think I know your answer to this, but I just like to have it, on video.
Oh, good.
What is your opinion on Dave Canales' play calling?
Look, all right, if I had to grade him overall,
mm-hmm.
I love him because he has brought a culture, a positive winning culture, and a culture of growth that they have not had at Carolina since Ron Rivera,
mm-hmm.
I would say. It's just like he is very intentional about what he wants to do. I think he's looking at the long picture instead of the short picture. I watch Bryce Young in the fourth quarter when he is down, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And the reason why is that the Panthers have no choice but to draw up more aggressive play calling. So I believe that all this clutch gene that Drew Brees said that Bryce Young has, I think that we're putting him in a position every week with the play calling where he has to have that gene because it's so conservative in the first three quarters.
So basically you're just saying he isn't the youngest person to have 11 game-winning drives because he's just only good in the clutch. He's the youngest person to have 11 game-winning drives because he only has opportunities to get game-winning drives to win games.
Right, and the question is it because he's bad the first three quarters or is it because the play calling's bad? I don't know. But I think it's possible.
It's more likely it's the play calling.
If y'all watch, look, we want to be a running team, but like at the end of the first half, 2 minutes left, hand the ball off. Like even then, whether you have a lead, you're tied, you're down, whatever, we're we're not taking the chances that we're taking in the fourth quarter. And he's not making many mistakes in the fourth quarter. So why not put him in that clutch gene mentality early in the game?
There is a fair point for us to, be doing these many run plays. There's a fair point because there's Rico, there's Chuba, who have both had
great. Yeah.
They've been great. But there's also a fair point that you have a quarterback that when put in these scenarios where he's only passing the ball, he's the best quarterback right now of all time. When, there's 2 minutes left and he's on pace right now to have the most game-winning drives ever. Like, it's because they only put him in these scenarios because they're down late and because they've been running the ball game, and it's maybe a bit of Dave's fault. Like,
well, and then again against San Francisco, they ran the ball like 9 times or some crazy low amount.
Yeah,
they didn't run it
and
enough.
That was one of those Bryce's games. Where
that may have been an overcorrection. Here's what I want. I don't want to look at the TV and say this is going to be a run down the middle and be right 80% of the time, or say this is going to be a play action pass and be right 80% of the time. If I'm sitting on my couch and I think I know what the Panthers are going to do, then the other team knows what they're going to do.
So Bryce technically had a game-winning drive against the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that game and how he was put in that situation? Do you think that was more or less play calling, or do you think him throwing for 450 yards was just him throwing for 450 yards?
That was his best game. The Panthers had to throw the ball in that game because they stacked the box on us, right? Mm-hmm. They did run it some. I mean, there was a lot of offense. There was just back and forth, a lot of scoring. Again, I'm not a coach. There's a reason I'm not a coach. Coaches hear people like me talk and they're like, this guy's an idiot. He knows nothing about this sport. But what I do know is, like, when I watch Detroit or Chicago play, I don't know what the hell they're going to do until it happens. So that part of it, I think Sean, who's the coach for Denver,
Payton.
No idea what he's going to do. I like it when it's not, hey, here's what's coming, you can't stop us. I like it when it's like, see if you can figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah, and we showed that in the Falcons game.
Yes.
That's why we were probably our best offensive game of the year.
Yeah.
So getting to the playoff picture, we are tied for leading the NFC South.
What?
But the unfortunate part is the tiebreaker with Tampa Bay means that if we are tied with them, we must sweep them. Unless they were to lose to the Falcons tomorrow night. By the time we're filming this, it's tonight. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when I'm going to post this. It might take me a while to edit.
Thursday night
football. If they were to lose to the Falcons, that would open up a whole new door for the Panthers. So the tiebreaker scenarios are first goes head to head, and then divisional record, and then common game record. The head to head record they've not played yet, but it's people looking at it like they're going to split probably these games.
Most likely outcome.
Because you know how Bryce is one game good, one game bad. That's probably what's going to happen. And the divisional record, they're both tied at 4-1, meaning if they were to split, they would have a tied divisional record. And the common game record, Tampa Bay's already locked it up, meaning if the Panthers have the same record as the Bucs like they do now, they need to win one of those first two tiebreakers, which the most likely one comes on Thursday, being Falcons-Bucs divisional game.
Because if that happens and Carolina splits, they go to the playoffs.
If they beat the Saints.
Right.
So if Carolina can manage to beat the Saints, which you never really know with Carolina. You do not ever know. And the Bucs can lose their final NFC South game that's not the Panthers, then the Panthers have the divisional record advantage if they were to split. Meaning, week 16, the Panthers could clinch the playoffs.
Wow.
But also that means that the Bucs, week 16,
could also clinch the playoffs. Yeah.
But the Bucs, they've been on a big losing streak here. The Panthers have been on a big one-game winning streak here.
Can you believe we're even talking about this right now?
Oh my God.
So listen, crazy. You guys, here's what, just so you know, if you're not a Panthers fan, you're listening to this, thank you for taking the time to learn about our franchise.
If you're a Lions fan, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You're the daughter of someone I know.
Yeah. Yes, we have our friend's daughter definitely watches PC's Playbook. If you are not a Panthers fan, everyone's goal at the beginning of the season was not to make the playoffs.
Oh God.
It wasn't let's make the playoffs. It was, can we have something to care about in December? Just December. We're not even asking for January.
Something.
Can we have a mathematical, statistical possibility?
Possibility?
Wouldn't that be a great name for a pasta restaurant?
Oh my God.
Imagine
Infinite
the possibilities.
possibilities.
Yeah. I like that too. if we were just relevant. And we're relevant.
We're relevant.
Yay!
Although somehow when I turn on First Take, still talking about the Cowboys.
Oh, well, that's
meant to be.
That's just the way it is.
That's how it is.
I mean, there's something to be said about that roller coaster thing. If we keep doing the good, suck, good, suck, good, suck, then Bryce would suck this next game, but then would be good.
And we'd make the playoffs.
For both Tampa Bay games.
Okay, wait.
Playoffs.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go into the scenario that Bryce is on this roller coaster. He's actually on a real roller coaster.
Yeah. Imagine him on a roller coaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saints, Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks.
Playoffs.
If we were to sweep the Bucks and lose both those games, we're in the playoffs. So, I mean, Bryce.
Keep it going.
If I see you throw for 2 yards, 8 interceptions for the Saints, I know we're making the playoffs.
That would be nice.
And then is he going to throw for like 500 yards and we're going to end up losing both games against the Bucks?
Yeah. Well, we'll see, man. I think we're going to be watching all of them. We're going to be in the house.
We're going to be there for the possible clinching game, Week 16.
I think this division race is not getting as much exposure as any of the other conferences. Fairly, the NFC South has traditionally been pretty boring. Like usually the Bucks lock it up pretty quickly, and also those teams don't normally go very far once the playoffs start.
I mean the Brady year, but that was Brady.
Right, that was Tom Brady. So I hope that people keep an eye on this, and I'm happy that you're raising awareness of this right now because it is fun to watch and see which Bryce Young shows up, and also just like the other thing, and I'll say it again, to watch the growing positive culture of a young, energetic head coach, which is what I believe Dave Canales is. And for all I say about his play calling, I hope he stays forever.
Yeah,
I really like him.
And one last question. Again, this is not about the Panthers' playoff chances, but what do you think the chances are the Panthers see their first NFL honors award since a while? Since definitely the Dave Canales era, definitely probably even the Matt Rule before that era.
Yeah,
with Tedder McMillan possibly winning Rookie of the Year here.
Well, I think J.J. Jansen should win the long snapper of the year. Is there an award for that? Award. No. Okay. Yeah, they're good. They're really good. I mean, a lot of the other rookies have struggled with injuries.
Yeah.
And haven't been able to make it through the season. And if you look at Ted, I mean, they got to throw him the ball.
They have to.
But when they do, they threw him the ball once last week, and he caught a 41-yard touchdown. So
he's had 3 catches in the last 2 games, and has had, I think, 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So I'd say keep on throwing the ball to him. You've got a guy when you watch the first couple of games, and he knows how to run routes like an NFL professional, and he does look like that. There was a lot of talk when he came out that he wasn't going to have separation. He looks pretty separate every time they throw him the ball.
I don't even need separation.
Yeah, and when he doesn't, he's got such a, he can jump high. He's got a good catch radius. So.
I will admit, I was not happy with the pick.
I wanted
Jalen Walker.
Yeah, who's good too.
Who's been good because I wanted him because our defense was so awful. We got Nick Scorton, who's been arguably
value pick,
like a better pick than Jalen Walker. I wouldn't say he's better than Jalen Walker, but he's been a very valuable pick. He's been very good this year, and I'm very happy with that being in the team. But at first I was a bit skeptical about it just because I felt like
you screamed loudly. I think you fell on the floor.
No, that was round. That was when we picked Nick Scorton.
Oh, you didn't like Nick Scorton either because I wanted
Mike Green. I wanted Mike Green. Okay, so I love both Nick Scorton and Tedder McMillan. I'm getting jerseys of both of them, but I hated both their picks because I wanted Jalen Walker and Mike Green instead. But hey, I like them now, and I will admit that I like them a lot more than those 2 guys. And they've probably been better than those 2 guys at their respective picks. So
they've been great. Our rookies have been great. You can even go down the list like Trevor Etienne when we needed him was good.
Yeah, Prince and Jimmy Horn in that Dolphins game.
Jimmy Horn. I think we've got game-winning plays from a lot of rookies. And
Mitchell Evans. Yeah,
Mitchell
Jimmy
Evans.
Horn. T-Mac, definitely.
We got some huge guy from Florida.
He has 1 tackle this year.
Okay, so we're not so much him.
Cam Jackson. He's too big.
So you guys, PC, his love for football. It's been around for a while, but his love of the Panthers is special. And it is contagious. Like when they win, I have a good day because my son's having a good day. When they lose, it's kind of a rough day for both of us. It's kind of a rough day. But this is what it feels like to be a true fan. And I now know kind of how the Lions felt for a long time and the Browns and all these other teams. Like we feel all you guys, all you fan bases. This is tough, but it's good this year.
Yeah. And we're going to be as good as the Lions. We're going to win 15 games next year.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
It'd be amazing.
I would love that. Should I let you do the rest of the show on your own? Because
sure,
I feel like you don't need me interrupting you anymore. You're doing fantastic.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I love you, buddy.
Everyone, this is my dad, Penn Holderness. He has his own podcast.
I do. That's what the studio is.
Yeah, he's wondering. He's plugging his podcast.
Yeah. No, yeah. Hey, for those of you who don't know about my podcast, if you're like a 15-year-old kid, you may not like it because it's about getting old, and it's called Laugh Lines. Maybe tell your parents about it.
All right, so that's probably all you're going to have to hear about my team for the rest of this podcast. I mean, doing a lot about other teams, their playoff scenarios and how they can fit in, but not a lot about the Panthers. I kind of worn that out already, but I'm saying, they're in the race. Let's start out with the wild AFC playoff picture right now, a playoff picture that does not include the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs, and might not at all include either of them. The Chiefs, of course, being one of the biggest talking points this season because of how just mid they've been and really bad compared to how they usually are. They are now standing at 6-7, and they can no longer win the AFC West, which extends their pretty long streak of winning that division, and are really standing pretty far away from a playoff shot here. They have a decently easy schedule to win the season to end the season. But even if they do win out, it's pretty tough for them to get in. I see a lot of people saying, like, oh, with the Chiefs, they're still Chiefs. They can win out. They can do all this. Things can happen. But, they are, the people I see talking about the Chiefs are talking about the Chiefs like they are the old Chiefs we used to see, the Chiefs you saw last year, the year before that. This is a new kind of Chiefs who aren't winning close games, who aren't putting as much offensive firepower into their game as they used to. And I don't see them doing that for the rest of the season, especially on this losing streak they've been on, or losing, I guess, slump of the past, this season, really. This season they've been kind of a slump the entire time. There's not been one, big stretch of losses in a row, 4 or 5 losses in a row. It's been mostly just, they just keep losing. They win a game, then they lose 2, or they win a game, they lose 1. And so these big wins against these teams like the Ravens that they had early in the season, Ravens with Lamar, don't really matter when you're, losing to teams like the Cowboys. So I do not believe they're going to have a chance to make the playoffs this year. They might get a chance, but I don't think it's going to be that close. I think they might finish at maybe 8-9. No. I'll give them 9-8. I think they'll finish, 3-1 to end the season. But I just don't see this team as a playoff team. Even if they do make the playoffs, if they face a team like the Patriots or the Broncos in the first round, they're going to get killed. Those two teams look like the two best teams in football right now, and they'll kill the Chiefs. The big 7-8 fight in the AFC is really just between the Texans and the Colts. And right now, it's looking like the Texans are going to run away with that, especially considering how the Texans are on a big winning streak here, and how the Colts quarterback is Phillip Rivers, who's 44 and has not played football since 2020. I don't really expect that changing. I'm just going to say that the Colts are not going to make the playoffs. But the real other controversy in the AFC, besides the Chiefs, which I don't think they even have a chance, the only shakeup that could even be in the AFC playoff picture would be that Ravens and Steelers thing. The Ravens do play the Steelers in Week 18 and would need some help from Steelers losing some games and the Ravens maybe even winning out to have a chance to make that game, competitive, maybe even Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football game that could decide a playoff spot. Right now, the Ravens are sitting 1 game behind the Steelers, and they have the divisional tiebreaker if the Ravens were to beat the Steelers. But I'm not really sure how likely it is that the Ravens can even make that push now, because they have been awful recently. 2-game losing streak here, and we see they have a pretty difficult schedule. And with adding that to Lamar constantly being injury risk, questionable by Wednesday, and then all of a sudden he's active, but he looks like he's still hurt. isn't the best news for Ravens fans, and their chances of the playoffs are likely like 25% for me, just because of their schedule and just because where they stand right now. And the Steelers, I mean, they might do it again. They might go 9-8, and they might make the playoffs. That would be Mike Tomlin's dream, to go 9-8 and sneak in. Elsewhere in the AFC, the only real other playoff, controversy. I mean, technically, there's a controversy between the 7-8 Colts Texans, but I see the Colts running, or the Texans running away with that, as the Colts, their quarterback and backup quarterback are both injured now. But the only other one in the AFC right now is, Ravens Steelers. The Steelers right now have the head-to-head advantage, the record advantage, and the divisional record advantage. Steelers being a game up, they just beat the Ravens, and they have a 3-1 divisional record. The Ravens 2-2. So they need a lot of help to get into this, especially playing 4 pretty good opponents, including the Steelers in this last stretch, playing the Packers, Patriots, Bengals, and Steelers. Well, the Steelers have an easier schedule than the Ravens, even though they do play the Ravens and also play the Lions. It's going to be really tight. It's going to probably come down to that Week 18 game unless the Ravens just, sell against the Patriots, sell against the Packers. And at that point, the Steelers can get in at like 8-9, 9-8, which would be Mike Tomlin's dream to get in the playoffs at 9-8. But this is a very, very ugly division race. I mean, a team started 1-5, won 5 straight, lost 2 straight. It's really hard to judge if the Ravens are even a good team this year. They have all the weapons. They've shown they can be a good team, and they've also shown they can be a terrible team. And just consistently been just poor. Even in these games he's won, they've been like just not good. And last week against the Steelers, I mean, there was some controversy about whether Isaiah caught it or not. I think he did catch it, and they should have called that a touchdown. They should have won that game. But the Bengals game just looked awful, and they've even against the Jets and these teams that they've beaten in this run of 5 wins before these 2 losses, they've not looked that good. So I don't really see them making this comeback. I would love to see them do it. I actually like watching the Ravens. They're fun to watch, and I like watching them a lot more than watching the Steelers. But I don't see it happening, and I see the Steelers, kind of cementing their point in the AFC playoff picture. And I don't really see the AFC playoff picture changing much. I kind of see the 1-7 staying the same. Maybe a little mix up inside of that, but that's kind of it. Meanwhile, in the NFC, I've already talked about that 4-seed race for Bucks Panthers, but I mean, the real only other controversy is kind of in that wild card spot. The battle between the NFC West and NFC North teams, and also between those divisions, who's going to win those divisions. And most of those are going to come down to those interdivisional games, like those Lions-Bears games, those Seahawks-Rams games that will be really important late in the season. Right now, I'm not sure if I see much of a change throughout that 1-6 zone of kind of the Rams at the top, and then we got the Packers. I think they'll stay in front of their division, Eagles, and then either the Bucks or the Panthers, and then at the 5, Seahawks, and then the Niners probably the 6. NFC West, NFC North kind of battle. And then speaking of the NFC North, I think that 7 seed will really come down to that Bears-Lions game we'll see later in the season. The Lions are 1 game out of the playoffs, but I mean, they still have the head-to-head advantage against the Bears. So if they were to beat them, then they would be ahead of them, and all they need to do is just win the same amount of games or more games than them in those other 3 games that they have. And after those 2 teams, there's a pretty big drop-off from the 8 to the 9. The 9 is currently the Panthers, who could not make a wild card seed right now, really. I mean, I think technically there's a world where a lot could happen where both the Bucks and the Panthers make the playoffs, but I don't really see it happening. I see the winner of the NFC South being the 4, and then, the other 3 wildcard teams being the 2 NFC West teams already named, and then one of those other 2 NFC North teams being the Bears or the Lions. I bet the Lions will sneak in. It's the Bears. They're probably going to bear. I've already said that. The first episode I said the Bears are going to bear, and they won by 20. So I probably should have more belief in them, learn from my experiences. But this time, I mean, it's against the Lions. It's against a team that looks really good when they're at their best. Has looked really good in the past. Looked insanely good last season. Of course, their playoff loss to the Commanders wasn't great. But, has some pretty tough games, but a very winnable schedule. Games that they can win. The Rams game is a tough game. But they can win these games that they're about to play. They're playing, I think, the Rams, the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Bears. They can definitely beat the Steelers, definitely beat the Bears, definitely beat the Vikings. And if they win those games, they're basically in. The Rams game this week, of course, matters, and then they kind of just like if they win out, they're in. They clinch it. But that game matters whether or not they can, have a higher seed or if they're stuck in the 7th seed. But that'll be probably what I'm watching them, besides the Panthers for playoff race, of course. I'm not really going to be watching for much of these playoff races because it's kind of like locked in the AFC. It's almost locked in the NFC. The only real one I'm watching besides the Panthers is this Lions-Bears playoff race, and that game that they play will be very interesting. And I'm not sure what exactly week it is. It might be where I'm in Charlotte watching the Panthers game. But I bet I'll have my eyes glued to the television, and that game will be really fun, especially seeing Ben Johnson against Dan Campbell again. Also, the NFC playoff picture right now is just crazy. The Bears were the 2 seed last week and are now the 7 seed, and I'm now talking about them as a team that could get knocked out as they were, not the 2 seed, sorry, they were the 1 seed last week for a bit. And I'm not talking about them as a team that is likely to get pushed out of the playoffs, and I have probably getting pushed out of the playoffs if I were to guess what the picture would be. That's all I've got for me today. I think this one's a bit shorter than the last ones, but, I got other things on my plate today. But thank you for listening. Also, if anyone was wondering, 2 weeks ago when I did a podcast with my sister on here, we were wondering who would have better game picks, the vibes or me with actual knowledge. I absolutely crushed her. So vibes do not work. They do not matter. And always stick with my picks. All right. Peace.